evening, everybody. Good evening. Yes, welcome to the Charlie Tolhurst Show. Me, Charlie Tolhurst. Today, the 4th of February, marking a new month and some changes coming to my show for the rest of 2023 and beyond. Some schedule changes and a revamped show. We've got plenty to talk about. I'm joined by late party supporter Zach Chambers to run up all the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hi, Charlie. Hello, mate.
Right, so we're going to start off with the hot headlines. We are bringing this segment back because we want to be talking about some of the biggest news stories of the week. I have to say, it is very, very important, that we talk all about these news stories coming in. And we're going to change up the usual bulletins to talk about these hot headlines. I'm going to go over a few of them now. Obviously, the main news of the week has been obviously the disappearance of Nicola Bulley, who was last seen on a conference call this week. There's been lots of police investigations going on. Apparently, there have been reports that she, according to the police, was found in a river. Now, Zach, what did you make to the police reports on the Nicola Bulley disappearance?
Well, this is a story that's took the UK by the storm this week. It's one of those very mysterious investigations of a typical person that you'd think that wouldn't just disappear out the blue. Now, it appears from what police have said and everything about Nicola Bulley that she appears this looks like a lone act rather than others being involved. Obviously, she's been missing for since the 27th of January. No one's seen her since then. There's obviously a line to call there as well if anyone has seen her. But it looks like, from what police have been saying recently as well, that despite all the speculation and all that sort of thing about potentially others, it looks like a lone act at the moment. It looks like she just walked into the river and disappeared with no sight then. Now, what's particularly peculiar about this case is that she left her phone on the park bench where she was walking by, and obviously picks up where location, all that sort of thing is. I think she also, I think there was obviously some sort of, I don't know whether she had some sort of dog with her as well, but I think they're picking up scents as well. And so this is I have to say, a pretty peculiar case of a person just disappearing as well. Now, just recently, I think as well over today, they were. It looks like the police were seeking a witness in this case of Nicola Bulley. It was a woman. It's a key witness. It looks like a woman in a very quite bright yellow t-shirt with what looked like a baby pram as well. We were seen pushing a pram near an area where the dog walker went missing. So they've released this image of a woman where on the 27th of January, where the 45 mortgage advisor was last seen. She was going in the direction alongside Grainston Road, up Lane, the village of St Michael's, in the direction of Element Lane towards the Great Pub at 8:22 a.m. She's seen walking Allotment Lane towards Garston Road 20 minutes later. So it looks like police want to question this woman that was a witness. Now, the friend of Nicola Bulley has been on the media this morning, and she's been saying that she doesn't believe the police version of events. Basically, she says there's no evidence behind the police theory that she fell into the river. And she also put on Facebook as well, off the back of the latest police media update, please can I add, there's no evidence whatsoever that she's gone into the river. It's just a theory. Everyone needs to keep an open mind, and as not all CCTV and leads have been investigated fully, please confirm the case is far from over. Well, no, it's obviously still a long way away. But this is one of those just bizarre disappearing acts of an innocent person that's sort of gone, all over, just disappeared with no reason as to possibly why she's disappeared. I'd be honest, I'm struggling to believe myself that she just randomly fell into the river whilst her phone case was like there, unless she was sleepwalking, which is I don't think so. It'd be a bit of a strange one if she was sleepwalking. But if she, I'm also struggling to believe that she would just randomly walk into a river and just, say bye-bye, disappear, not see the earth again, then yeah, I don't get it. So it's a strange one to me, because obviously 8:43 she's seen walking along the river. She reached the gate on the bench at 8:46, seen with her dog at 8:50 in the lower field, sends an email to her boss at 8:53, logs into a team court 901, seen on the upper field walking her dog at 9:10. Then team calls at 9:30, bully stays logged on. At 9:35, the mobile phone Willow found at the bench. Now, I don't know why. I still think the fact that she disappears, still on the team calls, makes me. I don't think she just walked into the river. I think she. I kind of think that she might have been kidnapped. I don't know why. What else can it be? She can't just randomly walk into a river, unless she fell into the river, then can't get out of it, and then gone drowned somewhere else, or can't be seen ever again. But it's a strange one, and just Sue Riley from Lancashire Constabulary said the investigator's main hypothesis was Burley had accidentally fallen into the river whilst walking a dog. Maybe it's possible, but then again, what's the phone doing there? Why does where's the dog scent? It's a bizarre British mystery case. This is of a person going missing, and then it's just the details that make it so stunning, really, of what's happened. And I'm struggling to believe what's being claimed so far. It just doesn't seem right that you can just accidentally fall into the river and never been seen again, unless she's really that weak. Yeah, I'm not believing it so far, Charlie. I'm struggling to grip with it that she just would randomly fall in a river, leave her phone there and everything like that, leave her devices there and everything like that. I'm just not struggling to believe it at the moment.
I think, Zach, as well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to jump in here and say what I think. I think this could even be connected to a possible crime, I reckon. I don't know. I could be saying this could be completely made up, but I do think there could be some crime connected. If this is a kidnapping or whatever it is, we don't know yet. There's probably still more investigations coming from the police, probably more thorough research on this. If there's a crime connected, we will keep you updated, because like we saw once with obviously the shooting of Olivia Pratt-Corbell last year, there was still a lot of unknowns with that, and then that ended up becoming clear what had happened. Obviously, Sarah Everard had the similar fate. It all happened with that. There was then named criminals, suspects were named, and they were then floated around. It's very, very interesting. We'll keep you updated, guys, with the Nicola Bulley investigation. We'll keep you posted onto her disappearance in a bit more detail. This is the Charlie Tolhurst Show live on YouTube. Moving on now to some rather peculiar news happening in the United States now regarding a Chinese spy balloon appearing across much of the country. Now, Joe Biden, the President of the United States, has ordered the US to shoot the balloon down. I believe in the last few minutes there's been reports going around, according to what I've been hearing, that the balloon has been shot down, but I haven't even heard about this. And to be honest with you, this balloon is once again China's President Xi Jinping clearly wanting revenge for something. We're obviously wanting revenge for the United States. I have to say, Zach, I am very concerned that what China are doing, I do fear that they are ever closer now, more than anything, to go into war, possibly.
Yeah, and I have to say, this has been a peculiar incident that's just happened in the United States as well. That this balloon that has suddenly, gone over the land of the United States. It's just a bit bizarre as well. So I don't know how it's managed to go over it. Now the Chinese are saying it's accidental and all that sort of thing. But I don't. Nah, I like with the Chinese. I don't believe it's accidental. There's been another one spotted in Latin America, which it makes me think this is intentional in some ways. But the fact is, it's gone straight on land. It's gone over. It was found in Montana. Then went through to Kansas. Then went over to North Carolina and South Carolina. And as you said this evening, it's been shot. It's been shot down. And the US's reasons for it shooting down, not taking this long, is because if they did it over, if they did it over land, then there could be flying debris, and it could possibly damage property or harm civilians in many ways as well. Now, I sort of understand that. I completely get that. Now, there's all saying, well, why don't you shoot it down first, straight away? Shoot it down instantly. Well, it may not just be simple than that. It's the case that you have to do it in a secure location. You have to do it where there's nothing about, and you have to do it really safely. So the best thing to do was to shoot it when it's above the sea, where there's nothing about, and then nothing can really be harmed. Now the airspace was unfortunately had to be closed across North Carolina, South Carolina, a few other areas as well. But nevertheless, it was shot down. It has been shot down. So yeah, it's now been shot down in the sea. No one's been harmed from, as I understand. Now what we need to understand is what is the contents of this balloon that has been that has been that's been shot down. What is the content? What's the purpose of this thing? What's on it? What was the CCP doing with this content as well? But it's been a peculiar incident this week with a balloon. It's just not some typical UFO. It's a balloon that's from China that's been used to spy on things. Now, it's very concerning in the first place that it's even made US airspace. That it should not be making US airland. It's bizarre. So let's look at the picture here as well. So this is what they do. This is what they call surveillance balloons. So you got this got this panel that provides power. You got instruments that include cameras, radar, sensors, communication equipment. They're used to detect whatever's on the ground, and they can get photos of the satellites and things that we can pretend you can do it from outer space and everything like that. So they do fly really high. They can fly up to like 37 kilometers up high. That's 120,000 foot. It's more than a fighter aircraft and a commercial airliner as well. So it's got big possibilities to send big pictures of things, and it can reveal quite a lot. It really can. But this is the Chinese Communist Party balloon that we're talking about, and they could be using it for every purpose, to spy, to get information. And it's a very dangerous security breach to the fact that this balloon's gone into space. So what is their? We're going to have to find out soon. What was their true intention behind this? The Chinese can say whatever they want, but there must have been some intention and reason why this balloon was in the airspace. And I suspect the US is going to have to detect what this really was about, because I think as well there was probably a reason for this. But yeah, President Biden ordered the shooting eventually when it got to the airspace, or we got to the river, or the sea, and it was shot down successfully as well. Well done to everyone that got involved with the taking down of that balloon. It was conducted very well, I have to say. Some say they could have done it earlier, but I must admit, if you do over land, then you risk injuries, and I don't want people to be injured by us flying debris. I have to say as well. So I'm glad it's down. That's the main thing. But there are lots of questions that need to be answered of why this happened.
There is, Zach. I have to say, when I read this report earlier, the US Federal Administration, the FAA, announced it's paused all civilian flights around 3 airports of South Carolina coast on Saturday because of a national security effort. The Coast Guard also advised mariners to leave the area due to military operations that prevent a significant hazard. Now, Mr. Blinken, who is the US Secretary of State, said surveillance balloons' presence was irresponsible act. However, China says, which says it's a weather ship blown astray, has urged cool-headed handling of the dispute. Now, China basically denies all the claim. It's saying the United States are using the incident as a pretext to attack and smear China. Well, I have to disagree with China on that, unfortunately, because this is, in my opinion, a pretext or false flag, no doubt about it. I mean, I have to say, we saw one of these. I'm going to come on to that actually tonight, I think, because I'm going to talk about this. We've seen Germany's similar tactics in 1939 when they used a Zeppelin to fly over British airspace to gain radar information ahead of the proposed invasion of Britain in 1940, which then triggered the Blitz in the Second World War. This reminds me so much of that Zeppelin raid, a Zeppelin flying, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it is just a joke. China, for me, are getting ever closer now to war. They want, obviously, to go to war with the US and Taiwan, clearly. I'm very concerned with that. And if North Korea's demonic leader, Kim Jong-un, believes that he doesn't want democracy in his country and he wants to get his missiles out and whatever, then we are, I'm afraid, in deep peril right now. And I do fear that we are risking World War III at this rate. No question, the Afghanistan withdrawal last year could have been one of the causes for that. We don't know. But it's clear to me that this is now simmering between the United States and China massively. So that's all on that forefront. We're going to move on now to Rishi Sunak's first 100 days in office. Now, he's just got over 100 days in office now, but I am fearing the Conservative Party are losing support of the Prime Minister very rapidly now. The general election is due to be taking place in a couple of years, or next year, in fact, even as well. Very, very soon, we're due to have a general election for the new possibly be a new Prime Minister. But Rishi Sunak has destroyed Britain's economy and raised taxes to the highest burden for many years. And communism and globalists lead the government through pretty horrifying times, with petrol prices soaring around next month and strike action causing the economy to grind to a halt. Now, there has been a lot of debate this week about Brexit, because obviously we did celebrate the 3 years ago since Britain left the EU, and we have seen migrants crossing the channel and causing problems for border force and enforcement officers over there. Zach, Rishi Sunak's first 100 days haven't been all plain sailing, I have to say.
Well, I have to say it's been better than Liz Truss's 100 days. Oh, sorry, she didn't actually get 100 days. Just forget about that. She didn't actually get 100 days. Oh, it was been better than the first period of that. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But it's still been marred in sleaze and scandal. Still the Boris Johnson after effects, unfortunately, that have still rattled the Conservative Party. Still sleaze and stooges and slimy business that's going on. I mean, we had Nadine Zahawi pelted out of office we were talking about this last week, I think, Charlie, as well, about whether Nadine Zahawi was going to survive.
And he's gone.
No, he didn't. He resigned on the Sunday morning, just before the Sunday morning shows came on air. Quite frankly, the independent advisor gave a little judgment on that. He deems that the Zahawi committee did not follow the spirit of the ministerial code. And Rishi Sunak said it was actually a serious breach of the ministerial code, which resulted in resignation. I think the fact it was that Nadine Zahawi did not declare that he was under investigation by HMRC, which was the main reason why he resigned, because he simply did not declare he was under investigation. And the fact that he was being given the the taxman's job whilst under investigation by HMRC, yeah, it was a terrible idea. There is still no Conservative Party chairman, new one to this date at the moment. Rishi Sunak is not rushing this at the moment. I would expect he will want to appoint someone soon, but it doesn't appear he's in a rush yet. So whether it's just because he's too busy with other things, or whether nobody actually wants the job, who knows? Who knows? I would. You kind of think they wants the job, or given the fact that there have been so many passed through so many chairmans and um, people in that job. It's you don't understand. It is quite mad. The other scandal that's obviously been going on is Dominic Raab. He's been under he's currently facing a bullying allegations investigation at the moment. 24 separate claims of bullying within his time during the office as well. It looks like 3 permanent secretaries that have worked under him have been interviewed in the last week as well, just to demonstrate how fast this investigation is ramping up of Dominic Raab. I mean, yeah, it sounds like he's a bit of a serial bully to me. Given everything's been reported, I can't see him surviving in any case as well. Even the former party chairman Jake Berry said that he should be suspended from the cabinet pending this investigation, which I think is right in this instance. I mean, Jake Berry got a lot of things wrong in his trusts role, but he's right in this instance in many ways as well. But yeah, we still had obviously the fact that he also appointed Suella Braverman to a role when she was a bit of a national security risk in many ways, with personal information and emails and all that sort of thing. And throughout time, he's just been a bit more incompetent. He's been criminally fined as well, for giving fixed penalty notices. He's struggling to get the grip of the NHS. He's sort of been out of touch by sort of suggesting the homeless man to get, I don't know, some sort of business benefits as well. It's just been a bit, out of touch. And yeah, he's failed to grip the NHS, the crisis in schools and education, pay rates, strikes, nurses, doctors, everything about it. Yeah, he's turned out to be incompetent. He's stable, but he's also incompetent. And his ratings are going down, Charlie. His ratings are going down. There's no tax cuts anytime soon. Jeremy Hunt is not going to unveil any major tax cuts in the budget, which is coming up in March time, just before the new tax season. And yeah, Tory backbenchers are a bit nervous at the moment. They're not on the edge. There doesn't appear to be any no confidence letters that have gone on yet. But yeah, it's just a lot of silly mistakes, and just a bad image of Sunak so far. That's just the public are really not warming to Rishi Sunak as well. In fact, though his views of it's got worse. He's actually polling below Boris Johnson in some instances in his first 100 days. So yeah, it's a long way away, this election so far. It's probably about a year or a year and a half to go until this general election. But the way things are going, he's in big trouble. Labour are still enjoying their 20-point leads in the polls. The country seems fed up at the moment. The mood of the country seems fed up. And yeah, it's not going well for them at the moment. It really isn't.
Yeah, betraying the Brexit message as well, I have to say, because the borders are still well open and there's still hundreds of migrants crossing every day. Still not going to cause any problems. But that's all on the Conservative Party issues. I'm now going to talk about a look back in history now. I'm going to talk about World War I now, and regarding the German Zeppelin raids on Britain. Now, as you would have heard earlier, guys, a Chinese spy balloon was spotted above the United States. Well, in 1916 and in 1915 and 1916, Britain was attacked by German Zeppelins. Now, Count von Zeppelin was the man responsible for designing German Zeppelins. These were basically almost looked like German balloons, if you know what I mean. I mean, you can see here exactly what they were capable of. It was basically like this weird airship, something you'd see out of, I don't know what you'd see it out of. Maybe something out of Flight Simulator, whatever.
Maybe.
To be possibly interested here. But the German Zeppelin was very capable at the time of its launch because it attacked Britain during the First World War. Now, obviously, this was known as the Great War by a lot of people. The Great War was fought for 4 years. And this was well before the rise of Adolf Hitler's time in Germany. This came along and it was revolutionary for the time. It was this massive airship that could be handled with pilots, had a little pod inside that you could go down and get surveillance on. This for me was known as really a very hypothetical weapon, should I say, that the Germans used to bomb cities across Europe and Britain as well. It said on here potential activities research for Zeppelin raids showed in Great Yarmouth and King's Lynn in January of 1915. In 1916, it done a massive attack on London, I think, which killed about 30 people. It was pretty huge. I mean, this weapon of mass destruction certainly was very interesting. Is that what do you take away from Germany's early World War One weaponry with this quite weird Zeppelin?
Yeah, this Zeppelin is like, something you compared out of Flight Simulator, and I wouldn't quite agree with you. I mean, I would quite agree. I would agree with you on that one. I don't know why I said I wouldn't quite agree with you, but would agree with you on that one. It must admit, it looks like a very bad aeroplane in many ways. It's an airship, but it's like a really Back to the Future like aeroplane. That's I don't know. It looks like it'd be designed in the 2040s rather than or the 2010s rather than the 1910s in many instances as well. But yeah, this is what was used by the Germans to do quite a lot of bombings. It's a big old thing, and as you can expect, because of the size of it, it could carry lots of bombs in as well. There's one, I think they made several versions of this. There was well, that wasn't the 127 actually. That was 1928. That was after war. But there was loads of Zeppelins as well. But it was pioneered by Ferdinand von Zeppelin.
Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin, yes.
Von Zeppelin. Now, interestingly, these may have been used in 1914s and everything like that, but they were developed much earlier. They were developed in the 20th century. They were formulated in 1874, and they were developed in 1893, so before the First World War even actually as well. But they were famously used for many raids. Actually, they had a top speed of 85 miles an hour. As well, they use several type of Zeppelins. They can carry up to 2 tons of bombs. That's a lot of bombs. They used it against towns and cities in Britain. The first raid was on Great Yarmouth, King's Lynn in 1915, as well. So they used quite a lot of these bombs to destroy towns and cities.
You can see one here. It was created left by a Zeppelin bomb in the French capital of Paris in 1916.
Yeah, that's a big hole. It almost looks like someone dug a hole and just made an earthquake out of it. But they were effective in many ways as well. They don't look destructive, but they were very effective in destroying destroying lots of areas and everything like that. They could, as I said, it could have 85 miles. They carry 2 tons of bombs as well, and they cause horror in many ways as well. The first ever casualty of them was 72-year-old Martha Taylor and shoemaker Samuel Smith in 1914 as well, and they were the first named people as well. The St. Peter's Plain, the Great Yarmouth, was the worst affected area of these bombs as well. And they were effective in killing, just loads of people. They tried to aim for the capital as well. A house in Stoke Newton was one in London to be attacked as well. And they just, they managed to drop 3,000 pounds of bombs in this. 91 incendiaries that started 40 fires, gutted building, left 7 dead. As well, so they were very effective in killing people. They was used in London, and it was used on the 8th of September as well. They used it to 2 people dead, 87 horrific injuries, and then this Zeppelins were used to raid as well. So they were, they caused mass murder, and they were. They also been used to attack industrial areas of the country as well, and civilian targets. So they were wide-ranging. They were extremely effective in the damage it caused, and they just caused death and destruction as well. And it just killed so many people um, as well. And obviously they were lost in 1918. So this sort of production of Zeppelin slowed down a little bit after um, the business. It sort of got back up again as well eventually, but they managed to do it in the 1930s, revive these fortunes. But they were demised again in 1937 when they had political and economic issues with these aircraft. So although the World War One was not the cause of the reasons of the decline of Zeppelins, they certainly contributed to some of it as well.
And they launched one, didn't they, over Britain in 1939, I remember, before the start of the Second World War. Not as a like a bombing that, but to gain research. Bit like what we've seen with the spy balloon, with the Chinese Communist Party launching it. This for me just is a pretext to a war. This raises questions, This Zeppelin that went over there raises questions about what China's doing, but it shows you the history of a pretty deadly weapon that was very effective for the Germany back then in the First World War. I'm talking this is now over 100 years ago. Just how advanced technology and technological advancements have taken us to now, with obviously Russia's new missile systems and obviously the destruction they have caused in Ukraine, is pretty huge. I mean, could Russia invent something like this? Maybe, we don't know. But all I can say is we'll keep you updated on what happens regarding that. Moving on now to the sport briefing now. I'm going to talk all about Red Bull's car launch now, and a couple of car launches coming out this week. Now, if you guys watch the car launch for Red Bull, I would feel nothing short of being underwhelmed right now. Given I saw a car on my social media pages on Twitter that looked barely identical to last year's RB18. Yeah. Yes, Red Bull Racing hyped this up too much. I mean, they have announced a deal to race with Ford in 2026. We know Ford used to race in Formula 1. I think used to last race with Jaguar, I think around 2003, 2004. So Ford are back. They used to power McLaren in the 1990s. So very, very interesting choice by Red Bull to go with Ford. And Haas revealing their car. I have to say, Haas's VF23, the black and gold livery from the new sponsor MoneyGram, certainly looking interesting, Zach, isn't it?
Yes, we've had two car launches this week. One's been a livery launch on the existing car, and the other one has been a new car that you wouldn't have thought looked like a new car anyway as well. Let's start off with Haas first of all, if I may, because they were actually the first one, not a new car, but they revealed their livery for this season as well. And it's important to realise, a livery launch is not the same, as a car launch. They're using, I think, the 2022 car, but to reveal their 2023 livery in many instances as well. So they've got a new lead sponsor this year. They've got MoneyGram. Some have sort of, MoneyGram. Let me just tell you what that is as well. MoneyGram is an American cross-border P2P payment and money transfer company in the United States, in Dallas, Texas, as well. So they could do a lot of money transfers. Like it's a bank, in other words, in many ways. It's an online money transfer as well. You do lots of money. It's just an international thing. But yeah, this is their car. I have to say, I like it. It looks distinctly fresh. The white, the red, the black, they all really connect together, I think, and it looks really cool. Anyways, it makes a very classy, very silky livery as well. So yeah, it looks really good, I have to say. I think it looks fresh. It fits the traditional Haas colours in many ways as well. But it makes the car look a bit more modern, a bit more changed as well. So it's a good car, I think, by Haas. I think it's a good livery launch. They will obviously reveal they're going to launch their actual car. Obviously, when we get to pre-season testing at the end of the month in Bahrain, but it looks good for now, I have to say, livery-wise, and it's really good. Now, the other one we saw, I think it was yesterday as well, was the Red Bull car launch, which it was hyped up as well, but it wasn't the car, I have to say, as well. it looks similar to previous seasons, I should say, as well. The Red Bull livery launch. They've gone for their traditional Red Bull design. Might be the odd change now and there on the side, but other than that, it looks like your typical Red Bull car from many seasons now. No different towards the other, really. I mean, it's a launch for that. I agree with Charlie in that instance, but it wasn't the car launch that got all the headlines. On this occasion, it's strange that a car launch doesn't get all the headlines. The announcement towards the end that Ford are going to be returning to Formula One after many years away. As you said, they previously partnered with McLaren to provide engines. They will be partnering in 2026 under new regulations with Red Bull. They are going to be supplying powertrains to Red Bull from there onwards. It's going to be new. For the last many years now, Honda have been providing it. Although under Red Bull branding, Red Bull sort of made their own engine out of Honda components. But nevertheless, it looks like that relationship with Honda is going to end in 2026 and be replaced with Ford instead. So that's a big risk as well. Obviously, we know Audi is joining the grid. The VW Group, Audi is joining the grid as an engine supplier, potentially a customer team in 2026 onwards as well, or maybe taking over the Alfa Romeo Sauber team on that instance as well. So there could be, quite a few engine suppliers. Now, the question is, what happens with Honda from 26 onwards? There has been some mufflings that they could well partner a team from 2026. The question is, what one potentially they're going to partner with? Will they potentially buy out? I've seen one room position they could buy out AlphaTauri and made their own factory team out of that, or they may just partner with another team instead. We don't know. It looks like Honda wants us to remain in F1 beyond 2026. But with which team, we don't know yet. But yeah, the big headline was not the car launch from Red Bull, which is the same, but the fact that Ford are joining them from 2026 onwards as well. It's a big development for Red Bull.
Yeah, and the Red Bull car launch was certainly a very interesting one. So that's all the Formula One news there for you. We're going to go over some of the footy news now, as I like to call it, the football, where we had some big shocks today in the Premier League. I mean, wow. If we can say football had shocks today, we certainly had some shocks. Let's go over some of the results now for you. Newcastle and West Ham were held to a 1-1 goalless draw, which was today. A very important result there. Aston Villa lost 4-2 against Leicester City, an important win there for Leicester. Wolves battered Liverpool 3-0. Jurgen Klopp probably now on his way out very soon, I should imagine, after a pretty horrendous performance today. Brentford beating a struggling Southampton 3-0. Manchester United beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Despite a red card for Manchester United, they were down to 10 men. Brighton continued their decent form for 1-0 win against Bournemouth. Chelsea and Fulham held to goalless draw. And Everton beating Arsenal 1-0. Sean Dyche taking his first win in the new manager as post at Everton. Zach, what do you make to today's Premier League action?
Well, I have to say, it's certainly been surprise results this weekend. Let's start off with yesterday. Another West London derby, Chelsea and Fulham. Fulham once again beat Chelsea the first time they met a few weeks ago. This time they managed to hold them to a goalless draw again. Chelsea have been all out throughout this January transfer window trying to sign players as well. The effects of that have not been seen yet, I'm afraid, for Chelsea. They've been held to a goalless draw. A few close chances for them, but they couldn't find the back of the net, unfortunately, as well. The big surprise results today, I have to say, Everton. A week ago, a week or two ago, they sacked their manager Frank Lampard after a dismal run results. They appointed Sean Dyche earlier this week, and look at the effect it has as well. With his training underway, and with a bit of protest beyond the board as well, he managed to get a 1-0 win out of Arsenal, beating them by 1-0. James Tarkowski with a 60-minute goal to put them ahead in the game as well. It was, although Arsenal had the most possession with 71% and the most passes as well, they had, Everton had just as much shots and actually had more shots on target than Arsenal overall as well. So in terms of actually getting the counter attack and actually getting the crucial shots, Everton managed to do it. And James Tarkowski, a former Burnley man, I should say, under Sean Dyche, managed to score the important goal as well. Arsenal remain 5 points clear, but can only go down to 2 points tomorrow if Manchester City win the next game, which I'll talk about in a minute. Brighton, again, having a decent spell. It appears Graham Potter has not been a big loss for them after all. A 1-0 win for them. Miltorma was the 87th-minute goal against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are struggling still. No win in the last 5 games. 4 of the last 5 are actually been losses for them as well. They are in 17th position. 19th position as well. Still stuck in the bottom 3 as well. Very poor result again for Bournemouth. They're really struggling again as well. Man United, 2-1 victory for them. They continued a good run of form. They did go down to 10 men though. Casemiro was sent off in the 70th minute for a very aggressive play. Bruno Fernandes got a penalty early on to score. Marcus Rashford continued brilliant run of form as well. The 62 minutes goal. Casemiro got red carded, and Jeffrey Scalp was the one that scored in 76 minutes. But Manchester United managed to hold on to win 2-1 against Palace as well. But they are without Casemiro for the next 3 games because of his actions today. Brentford, cruising performance against Southampton, a 3-0 win for them. Goals against from Ben Mee, Mathis Jensen, Brian Mabuo, dominant, absolutely dominant. Southampton are struggling. They are at last position in the table on 15 points. They are now needing a win to at least get out of the bottom 3 because, they are 15 points. Everton on 18 in the bottom 3 as well. Southampton in big trouble at the moment, I have to say, as well. And the other surprise results, well, there was a few surprise results you have to say as well. Wolves having an absolute mega time against Liverpool. Just put it in the back of his own net as well. 3 in the 5th minute. New signing Craig Dawson, who recently went from West Ham to Wolves, scored in the 12th minute. Ruben Neves as well, key player for Wolves, 71st. But Liverpool in 10th position, in a big trouble tonight. 10th, I think they are, looking at the table, they are in 10th position as well. Only Aston Villa, Aston Villa is only behind them as well. If it wasn't for Aston Villa losing today, as we go on to their result, then they could have been ahead of Liverpool, and Liverpool would have been outside the top 10. But it was a pretty spectacular result for Leicester City. They've been struggling recently as well. But their new signing Tete scored in the first half. James Maddison got a crucial goal. Iheanacho as well. Dennis Praet. Ollie Watkins as well scored early. He was the first scorer. Harry Souttar scored an own goal for Leicester in the 32nd minute, but it wasn't matter because Leicester was on flying form. Managed to get 4-2 victory out of them today, and the other game today as well, Newcastle, West Ham. Newcastle held to a goalless draw against West Ham, who've had a bit of a better run form recently, but it has meant that Newcastle have only won 1 of the last 5. They've drawn the other 4 games, but they as well. But yeah, slight different form for Newcastle as well. Maybe all the pressure is getting to them, but they are through to the Carabao Cup final. They won midweek. They won midweek as well, which is crucial to them, alongside Manchester United as well, they'll be taken in the final at the end of February. But tomorrow's game, some of the crucial games are actually Nottingham Forest and Leeds. That'd be good. That'd be a crucial battle at the bottom for Leeds United, and that's at 2:00. And then a crucial game at the top where Manchester City could only be 2 points behind Arsenal by the end of tomorrow. They take on Tottenham Hotspur, who've been struggling, shall I say, as well. As Tottenham Hotspur's form has not been the best as well. Only won 2 of the last 5, 3 losses in 5, 2 wins in 5 as well for them. But yeah, they're not going to get into the top 4 after this game. Unfortunately for them, they will remain behind Newcastle, but could be only 1 point behind them by the end if they do manage to win. Where Manchester City can only be behind by 2 if they win against Spurs as well. So yeah, this result is going to be crucial at both ends at the top of the table as well.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, Zach, because I have to say, it is all about whether these teams can really get up. Certainly, if you're in the bottom three, you'll be thinking about that right away. Now it's time for Charlie's good news now, where we're going to be talking once again about the Apprentice Electric Motorbike Task. Yes, they're creating the electric bike for customers and consumers alike. The business show got into a wild hog status. We're going riding, yes. I'm sure you'll all know. Now, it was Bradley that led Team Infinite, or Infinity, if you want to call it that, and Apex was led by Marnie, who won the task with her product, Soldier. Yes, very interesting branding, if you have to put it that way. Was their branding in the wrong direction? I don't know. Should you be driving clean and riding dirty? I don't quite know that, if I'm honest with you. I will be playing a little clip from The Apprentice very shortly on that. But yes, The Apprentice UK saw Shazia Hussein being fired by Lord Sugar, becoming the latest candidate to be fired from the process after disobeying her project manager Bradley, who went for the name Kathy Racer, and Shazia decided, I don't like that name. I'm going to change the project manager's advice. I'm going to correct my own name, Zip Zap, which was Zif Zap with the branding. It was probably one of the most bizarre and one of the most underwhelming brand names I've ever seen in my time watching the show. For a long time, if you thought that logo last year of the boys' cruise ship looked anything to shout about, this is Zif Zap. I mean, it certainly didn't make any sense having a Zif Zap on the poster, which looked like more of a children's bike, if you ask me. Pretty crazy. Zach, what did you make to the performance of both teams during last week's Apprentice task?
Yeah, so let's obviously talk about both of the bikes that were made as well, because they were pretty much. Let's talk about one of them. They decided that they give their brand name Soldier, as well. Mari's team, they give it a tagline: "Ride dirty, drive clean for a sexy feel," and they made a sort of woman out of it as well. Now, I must admit, I didn't like this advert. I think it came off as a bit misogynist, to be fair, using a woman as a sort of a tool for a bicycle, for an electric bike. It just came across as misogynist and, quite frankly, out of touch these days as well. Oh, the woman's going to be on the bike. She's going to be dirty on the bike and everything like that, but she's going to ride clean. It's making a mockery out of a woman. I did not like the advert at all. Now, obviously, I can reveal the intentions of it because obviously it's an electric bike, and if you sort of drive it clean, ride dirty, drive clean, you sort of mean you doing clean driving. It could be interpreted two ways as driving clean, or clean. In many instances, clean energy, sort of driving bikes and everything like that. But yeah, I must admit the advert wasn't for me. But what Mari's team made them won the challenge, I think, was more than less their presentation and the pitching towards it. The advert itself wasn't really great because it just felt, again, it felt misogynist, and it felt like it just wasn't getting to the point. But so Mari's team won though because they just they got better reviews at the end of the day. The Apex as well, but Apex won it as well, so that was crucial for them. But Affinity's bike, Zip Zap or Zap Zip or whatever you want to call it,
Zip Zap
as well. Zip Zap. The branding was diabolical. It looked like some kid made it in 5 minutes. Whilst the advert itself was okay, I have to say, the pitching was diabolical. Just a diabolical pitch to investors, and I think that's what lost them the task at the end of the day. The pitching was diabolical. The advert itself was fine, I thought. It felt like I was getting some information. It wasn't exciting, but I felt like I was getting some information out of it. But the advert, I mean, the pitch was just bad. It was awful. And the logo was pretty rubbish. They were totally put on the spot. Some of the contestants in there was felt condensation, sending. And at the end of the day, as well, it was Shazia who persuaded Bradley to change the name for the actual bike, and she was the one, she blamed for producing a load of rubbish and therefore and she was out of the competition as well. I mean, yeah, the bike itself, the advert was fine, but the pitch was rubbish. The logo was a disaster because I was looking at Zip Zap or Zatazif or whatever. It looked completely unreadable in parts as well. Zip Zap was probably,
Zip Zap.
According to
I mean, look at this. I mean, can you understand why you probably designed, I have to say, the most cringiest logo I've ever seen?
It looks like come out of word art. Honestly, it genuinely it's terrible. It stuck a few logos, stuck a few emojis on there, a few images, some crap font, and yeah, just it was lazy. The other one was boring, but it felt a little bit more professional in terms of branding. This one just, well, I don't even know what that is. It's just was just complete laziness, as well. But yeah, Zahira got fired for the just the terrible performance overall. I'm afraid in that one. Yeah, it was a really really bad episode. For it was just such a bad episode. In terms of the team of that team as well. Affinity was the one that was winners, as well in that one. But yeah, that was a bad one. But next week, or next coming up to next episode, they're off abroad again to Dubai, and they're going to be on a corporate away days. They must put on a corporate away day for 2 international clients based in the city. Is their job as well. So they're doing something sort of corporate advertising as well of the city for 2 international clients as well. But the thing is about it is that it's obviously, given the fact it's apprentice, obviously not everything's going to go to plan. There'll be at least another firing as well. But yes, Dubai next week abroad for corporate advertising and pitching into investment as well. A nice little tour as well. So yeah, that's next week as well, where another candidate's going to go. And we're going to be halfway through the series. I should point out as well. Episode 6. We're going to be halfway through the series after the end of next episode.
Yeah. And then we've got the interviews, which will be interesting as well. I'm now going to play for you a quick clip from The Apprentice, in which Shazia and Team Affinity, or Team Infinite, get absolutely scolded in the boardroom by Lord Sugar's advisors. Have a listen to this.
Generation A. Oh, my A minus. Okay. Tell me what you did.
These type of bikes are known as cafe racers. So a brand name that I put forward was going to be Cafe Racer.
And
right.
Just on that, I think that I definitely didn't understand what a cafe racer was.
Who came up with the name?
Abby.
Sounds like an acne treatment.
When I saw the logo, there was no words.
I mean, he's a bit busy. He's got more going on the roof of the Sistine Chapel, actually. Anyway, so the actors, you chose a female that couldn't ride a bike. Is that right?
And that was definitely an oversight on my part, because I assumed that all of the actors would be able to ride a bike.
It was very clear because it was clearly identified under every.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and that's the reason why I said it's a complete oversight on my part.
I did presume, Lord Sugar, that we would have had an actor, and when we were coming up with a storyline, it was something that we just went with. And then when we were waiting,
put you in a hole,
didn't it? It did. But luckily, Bradley stepped in, and he was a fantastic actor.
He did a great job.
There'd be no Oscars coming anytime soon, but I did roll my sleeves up and get stuck in.
It's like the worst casting since Sohil's belly button, I think. Let's look at this TV advert.
I called it bad just today. You hit me with a call to your place. Zip Zap, just twist that throttle and go. Saves time, saves money, saves the planet. It's not up for dispute, it's the new way to commute.
I'm definitely getting a Zip Zap.
It's compact and lightweight. Why wait? Get one now. Zip along in a Zap.
Okay, let's see the billboard. Is that it?
Yeah,
That's it.
Who directed this?
I did actually.
I mean, to me, it looks like an advert for Friends Reunited.
Well, so just to go back in terms of who was directing this, and obviously she has actually appointed Joe to direct it, but somewhere along the lines, I think there was a bit of
yeah. And when we came in to create the billboard, I had a clear vision, but in the end, we used up a lot of time talking and discussing props.
Yeah, I disagree with that, and that's the reason why I kind of took over the direction.
Who did actually lead the pitch then?
So I went in and opened the pitch.
Didn't you, out of desperation, say, well, actually, my original idea was cafe? Yeah.
What it did do is throw forward an idea that we had in order to be able to go.
I think the
back
only
and
thing you
revise.
threw was your colleagues under the bus.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take those comments on board. I don't necessarily agree with it.
Okay, look, here's how I see it. I listened to what the experts have said. I've seen the adverts. My decision is that Apex, your advertising campaign, was better.
Yeah, thank you there, Lord Sugar, for that little brief injection in the ballroom there on how both teams got on in the electric bike task. Next week, they're off to Dubai for the next task. Before we do the papers, though, guys, I just have one more good news for you. Next week is National Apprenticeship Week. It is the chance for you guys who are having apprenticeships to speak out about how you get into the world of work. The world of work is really, really important. Apprenticeships are coming. Now, National Apprenticeship Week will be celebrated all across the United Kingdom, and it will run exclusively next week in the United Kingdom from, I believe, the 6th to around the 11th, to the 6th to the 12th of February 2023. It will be a chance for you guys to speak to regular employers. We know South Essex College are going to be around. Castleton are hosting one next week as well. I think on next week as well. All advertised on their social media page. Castleton School, South Essex College are hosting them. It'll be a big chance for you guys to speak to these people. Schools, colleges, employers, careers advisors, and found students will come together online to celebrate apprenticeships in the support of the government-run National Apprenticeship Week throughout the week. Top employers and organisations will come together to show opportunities to thousands of attendees who are actively seeking apprenticeships. Now, this can be in any industry, construction, retail, and also hospitality as well. Big sectors can really help your drive to have a successful career. And it's the time now to talk about him, what job you want to do. Companies hiring new apprentices. It is a big initiative coming up as well. Zach, what do you make to National Apprenticeship Week for 2023?
Yeah, it's obviously a big week showcasing what apprenticeships are available, really. What's available in the industry, what can they offer, the opportunity for young people particularly as well to get into roles, learn some new skills on the way, and just chat to employers, career advisors, and those who, find the right path for people in many ways as well. I'm in an apprenticeship, and obviously it's a great experience so far being in one in my role. But and so this role, I suppose, in many instances as well, this little apprenticeship week is a good way to showcase all the upcoming roles, all the good things in the industry available for young people. It will provide range of advice, career choices that people can choose. So it's it's an important week of understanding, the benefits of apprenticeships, what's available, and what they could bring to you in terms of future employment.
Yeah, there's so many options. As I say, Castleton are hosting it on Wednesday, the 8th of February, and they're going to have Barleylands Farm, Peaceful Pony, Willow Tree Farm, Anderson Sector, Active Essex, DWP, AIM, Skills to Use, Sword Entertainment, Basildon Council, and they're all going to be involved with this. Tyler Park as well. I know that I just want to mention to someone on my show tonight. I don't know if you're watching, Mr. Joshua Earnshaw Potts. You are going to get a mention on my show tonight. So obviously, I know you work down at Tyler Park in Basildon in Essex, or in Pitsea actually. I have to say, I praise you for what you're doing, because obviously working out on an agricultural field, it's a huge challenge, you know. I mean, especially all the years this year we've had, I know that obviously agricultural parts are a big part of this country, especially like working at Wat Tyler. It's a big challenge, you know, like working at somewhere like Wat Tyler Park it's a big challenge, you know. Like, I think it's important to really understand that and understand how you can get into industries like this, no matter how good you are. I'm going to just quickly show you a picture, guys, of what Josh has been up to. This was taken from an article last year from Basildon Nub News. It goes on to say that Parks apprentice Joshua Earnshaw Potts has picked up a national award in recognition of his Basildon outdoors. His award was won for the National Association for Special Needs Award in young person aged 17 to 25. Josh, who has sensory processing difficulties and learning needs, was recognised for dedicating 3 years and over 600 hours to placements outdoors in England, including where he worked to sustainably plant over 13,000 trees. I mean, Zach, clearly people like this have to deserve recognition, do they, for driving up the national effort to keep our parks safe?
Absolutely. Planting a tree could just, just be a simple environmentally good thing for the planet. Trees give us oxygen, and every tree planted is just another bit of oxygen. So the efforts like this are just brilliant, and it may seem like small things, but it makes a whole difference to a community, to jobs, and to the environment, basically, and to our planet. So, and even to wildlife in many instances. So doing things like this and recognizing people's achievements is just fantastic, and especially Josh, who I've known for quite a long time as well, who's a brilliant lad, and he's a brilliant lad. He's obviously quite a lot of talent, and he's just great person, and all his treatment's been done has been great as well. So fair play to him.
Yeah, great. It's great to see young people getting into work. This is what National Apprenticeship Week is about. It's about apprentices like Josh and apprentices like Zach as well, mentioned as well, getting into the work, getting into industries. It's important. I start a new job on Monday as well at Ocado, delivering your shopping, guys, in a Mercedes Sprinter van to customers' doors, doorsteps and that. So let's hope new challenges come, even for myself. So it will be an early start for me Monday. I'll say that for one thing. But moving on now to look at the papers, which is going to be given a new name, guys. Welcome everyone to the rebranded segment, Press Preview. Yes, guys, that's where we have a look at the latest newspaper headlines now. We have got plenty of headlines to get you through today, this evening and tonight. Let's go with them right now because we've got plenty of them. So the Independent the Sunday Mirror goes, my hell as Tory MP slave housekeeper at Dungy's home had wages with a Whiteheld. Very interesting. Jonathan Dinger, a Conservative MP, Jonathan Diamondgilly or someone, I can pronounce his name, has been involved in some kind of court battle, I hear. The Independent goes, eyewitnesses reveal violence and self-harm in chaotic asylum system. That comes after many of them were handcuffed and restrained with self-harm in a controversial migrant order. The Sunday Telegraph, in an exclusive, Liz Truss says, I was brought down by the left-wing economic establishment. Talking about the shortest serving Prime Minister in the United Kingdom's history there as well. Sunday Express goes, for lives at risk after cancer plan is ditched, leaving doctors having warned the decision to drop long-term cancer strategy could endanger thousands of lives. And finally, the Daily Star goes for this one, a glitter brawl. An angry crowd protested at Gary Glitter's ball hosted after he served his sentence for abusing girls. Zach, what do you make to the latest newspaper headlines?
Oh, some interesting headlines. Let's start off with the Mirror first of all. This is the Sunday Mirror. My hell is Tory MP slave. So it's the Sunday Mirror is reporting that housekeepers at the home of Conservative MP Jonathan diagonally had their wages withheld, with one describing her work conditions as a hell for the politician. The two women won some court bashes over this, and the pair given bizarre avocado demands. That sounds very sexual, by the way. I don't know why we're talking about avocados for. But yeah, this is talking about obviously how MP's condition, how MP's demands affects people's wages and working conditions and everything like that. And it appears this one doesn't have their best working standards in his office in any ways as well. Housekeepers has wages withheld, which is shocking. No one should have their wages withheld because to get done the housework for the old man, the old bag, shall I just say, for him as well. There's also something involving court battles as well. I don't know what this is about. You have to go inside the paper to find it out. And they'll give him bizarre avocado demands. I don't want to know what those avocado demands was, please. That sounds very wrong. The Independent goes for a very quite interesting story as well. They're talking about asylum seekers that are being handcuffed and restrained after self-harming in scenes of desperation at a controversial migrant centre at Manston. You remember that one as well, where we had seemed to be a flood of asylum seekers the other day in terrible conditions. Shocking how for the Home Office staff and private contractor cause fights breaking out over food and overcrowding as well. It appears that the system remains a breaking point with a backlog of more than 140,000 undecided claims. 140,000 is I don't understand what they've been doing in the Home Office. Their processes are terrible. They need to hurry up with their processes of asylum claims and get rid of the backlog, because the number is appalling, the backlog, and the treatment inside asylum centres as well. Whatever you think of migrants, anything, the fact that they've been restrained after self-harming is a horrible sign for these asylums. They should not have to be going through that. Whatever you think of asylum seekers and immigration overall, people shouldn't get to this point where they're having to self-harm and getting fights breaking out as well. It's an awful situation. They've also an interesting one as well, and this is the Highclere Castle. You remember the scene from Downton Abbey as well on the Independent. They are now saying that they're struggling to recruit staff after the departure from the European Union, which is very interesting nevertheless as well. Brexit, we celebrated the 3-year anniversary of Brexit, and it's not. I suppose it's not an anniversary to celebrate with people unable to, with the economy slowing. I know people aren't able to afford staff or getting staff and production, and imports down overall in the country as well since Brexit. I mean, there is a contributing factor to the economy slowing because of Brexit, and Brexiteers can have their heads up their backside, whatever on this, but there is a factor in this as well, unfortunately. This is the one I most want to talk about, Charlie, as well. Liz Truss has done her first interview since being out of number 10, or being forced out of number 10 as well. And what does she blame it on? Not herself, not her chancellor, but the left-wing economic establishment. I have to say, my hands are in my head at the moment. It's always somebody else's fault but hers, isn't it? Let me remember what Liz Truss was responsible for. That was her fault. Not left-wing economic establishment, but the markets, the pound, and the pensions funds, the schemes as well. Many of the things, the banks. She was responsible for all that because of her economic measures. She also criticised Rishi Sunak's increase of corporation tax as well. And, she's done a whole range of other things in her interview, 4,000-word essay, and that she's done as well for this very interesting interview that she's done. But, if she wants to come back, then she ain't going to get it with words like that. I mean, left-wing economic establishment. God almighty, save me a bloody break. It's all nothing her fault. It's always somebody else's fault, isn't it? No. She's just as dreadful as ever. performances as well. It just get me off of that. I mean, let's go on
I
to
knew she was
Sunday
going to do
Express as
something
well.
like that, wasn't she?
Let's get to the Sunday Express, which on a very serious note, this is a really terrible and quite frankly awful story. Leading doctors have warned that the decision to drop a long-term cancer strategy could endanger thousands of lives. It appears that a cancer strategy scheme has been dropped as well. In a letter to the Health Secretary, the Omicron said that the almost 10-year scheme as well is apparently a watering down for the fight to cure cancer. I mean, if that's the case, then this cannot stand. Honestly, cancer is a cruelty to everybody, no matter what kind of cancer it is, and the fact that this has been sort of being mentioned is a really bad state as well. This cannot be watered down. This has to go ahead, I'm afraid, Charlie. This cannot be watered down because otherwise thousands of lives will be lost if this doesn't go ahead as well. The Daily Star as well. Glitter brawl. Angry crowd protested at Gareth Glitter's bail hotel after he served half his sentence for abusing girls. As well, furious locals protested at Gareth Bail Hotel as police rushed to stop violence breaking out. Abuse and threats was held at the three pop paedophile and one vigilant claimed offence. So I can understand the angry feeling about this one as well. The fact that this nonce has been released into the open after half his sentences. Yeah, that is, he should be out there in there for the rest of his life, not bloody stuck. Not freed after a while as well. So yeah, that's the problem there as well. And the Sunday People has just released their paper as well. Lock up sex friend cop for life. A victim of Mexican police officer David Carrick said he should be jailed for life ahead of his sentencing on Monday the 6th of February as well. So David Carrick will be sentenced this Monday for his really hideous crimes of abuses and rape offences whilst he was in whilst working as a Metropolitan Police officer as well. We're going to hear the sentencing of that on Monday as well. Hopefully it is for life, because his crimes have been hideous and he deserves to be behind bars for, using his position to abuse it as well. So yeah, that's my view, and that is the papers for Sunday tomorrow.
That's all the papers, guys. We're now going to move on and do the heroes and villains of the week. I'm going to start off with my nominations. The heroes go to Nadine Dorries for launching a brand new Talk TV show, including the interview where she properly challenges Boris Johnson. Yes, if you saw that interview the other day, she gave Boris Johnson a bit of a grilling. Certainly, a must-watch in my opinion as well, I have to say. As well, I'm also going to give a nomination as well, my second nomination of the heroes this week to someone in particular. I'm going to give it actually to Josh Earnshaw Potts actually for his work at Wat Tyler, I think. The fact that he's gone there and won a national award, it's pretty incredible, and I really want to give a nomination to every single person taking part in National Apprenticeship next week because, as you guys know, it's such an important part of education. It's such an important part of this country's embodiment to get people into work. We really want people to get into work as soon as possible. And many schools in this country should really be taught careers in general. So I'm going to give that the nomination as well. Right, villains of the week, obviously the Chinese spy balloon. I'm also going to give another nomination to a horrible shooting which happened at Lakeside Shopping Centre just a few days ago. A pretty horrible event. I have to say, one man was literally held at gunpoint the other day after a gang of people were apparently a mob of young people ran into the shopping centre and threatened the person with a knife. I have to say, it is absolutely horrifying. You should not be seeing crime like that in anywhere, let alone Lakeside Shopping Centre. It was absolutely horrifying to watch. I could not believe what was happening as well. I mean, look, it's a teen robbed at gunpoint at Lakeside Shopping Centre, threatened as well. I just want to quickly go over this, guys, because this is such an important news story whilst we're here. So it was being reported, according to local news on the Echo, that around 4:30 the other day, it was a teenage boy was robbed by a group of people, some of whom had knives. During the incident, the boy was threatened and his coat was taken, and police say he was not injured. Essex police officers were quickly to identify the group of people, made 6 arrests. Those arrested were aged 6 boys between 13 and 15, remain in custody in the mornings. Superintendent Timothy Tubbs said, "We're proud of partnership. We have Lakeside, and it was a great relationship, which was allowed to make officers quickly identify the interest and subsequently make 6 arrests." So what do you make to my nominations for the heroes and villains this week?
I mean, Nadine Dorris for Hero of the Week. God Almighty! I think I need to go to sleep right now and just put my head down and realise, oh no, I've recorded the interview for my mum to watch later. I think she'll be particularly embarrassed by watching it. So, yeah, I mean, that incident in Lakeside, that's dreadful, and whoever's going around with knives, just sad, absolutely sad for going around with knives as well on that instance as well. But yeah, let's talk about my hero and villains this week. The one big one. Let's give the good news first of all. I'm going to give my hero this week to someone called Adolf Molina. You may not know he's a man from the Dominican Republic, and this week in Massachusetts, he managed to save a person in the wheel of a car who was unconscious whilst driving on the highway. This woman fell unconscious on a 4-lane highway in the snow, unfortunately, in the slippery conditions. Her car was accelerating in the middle of the road. It was very dangerous, and she lost consciousness whilst driving. The nearby driver recorded the video. He managed to try and slow the car by grabbing the door handles. As well, another person tried to help, and they tried to use the sticks to stop the still moving car, which began to move backwards towards the highway. They tried to push it in the guardrails to at least slow it down. The police revealed later it was a 57-year-old woman who indeed lost consciousness for unknown reasons as well. But yes, the man tried to slow the car down whilst the woman was unconscious in the car.
Wow.
Unfortunate for unknown reasons. But yeah, he, Adolf Molina, is the hero of the week as well for me. And the villain
definitely, that's a massive. I'm so proud for that. The fact that he saved someone's life. He's probably. I mean, I hope he saved. I don't know what the condition is of the other woman, but that's a potentially life-saving moment there.
Yeah, it was definitely theirs as well. The villain this week is going to be China for their little balloon, their little spy balloon over America. I mean, they say it was an accident that it went into the airspace, but there was certainly intentions behind it, surely as well. Good news is it has been shot down, but we're waiting to see what the investigation is going to reveal of what's the intent and what was on this equipment, of this Chinese air balloon that was over America as well. But yeah, China gets the villain for the week, and the bloke that saved a woman's life while slowing down a car is also the hero this week.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to give that to him, actually, for saving that woman's life. I think I should have mentioned something like that, but have to say, definitely that, and definitely the National Apprenticeship Week participants as well. I will commend you for all your achievements. Anyone who's in the apprenticeship gets a nomination, as I said, for all their commitments. But that's the end of the Charlie Tolhurst show for you tonight on YouTube. It's been a busy show tonight. Plenty of news. We'll do it all again next week as well. So see you guys next week for lots more great content. Thank you for listening. I'm your presenter, Charlie Tolhurst, and Zach Chambers has been my special guest tonight. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you again next week for more great news content. Take care. Good night.
Boom.